This podcast is for you. Your co-hosts, Ben Dodge and Eric Huso at Effect Epic Consulting, believe that your potential is limitless. Tapping into this potential is how you can affect epic results in your life, relationships, and business. Welcome to the Principles of Epic Growth.
Brother, what's going on?
Today's the day, dude.
I'm really excited about today.
Today's the day we get to talk about determination.
You want to know why I'm excited?
Why?
Because I am excited to learn. I learn as much from you as I give. And so you are one of the most determined human beings I know. And so today is going to be not only a gift to everybody out there listening, but it's going to be a gift to me because I love learning from you.
Hey, the feeling is mutual. And this topic is definitely a topic that hits home for us. And I'm going to apologize in advance for, no, I'm not going to apologize. I'm going to be outright passionate, and you're going to hear that
You might
today.
offend a couple of people.
For sure. And that's not the intention, but we're going to call it how we see it today. And determination is just missing in spades in our culture. Single most important ingredient, I think, in just kind of making everything work out the way you want it to. So I'm a huge fan of, in fact, just this morning I was having a conversation with a good friend, and a topic similar to this came up, and I just, he was stressed out and frustrated at work, and he ends up getting passed over a promotion, working for a boss that's been demoted over the last year 3 or 4 times, and now he reports to this guy, and there's just a lot of conflict, right? And I'm just talking to him, and I said, look, I refuse to look at it that way. Like, I refuse for the world to happen to me. I'd rather happen to the world. And determination and some of the other things we'll talk about is just that's just the key to that. You know, living a life where you're having the world. I can't control the sun coming up, and I can't control 99% of things that happen in this world that I'm involved in. But I can control my reaction to those things, and I can control how I want to and what I want to create out of those circumstances. So every challenge is an opportunity. It's not a hurdle. It's not an obstacle. It's not a sidetrack, derailing kind of experience. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to demonstrate determination, to demonstrate that you're committed, and to push through when other people give up. That's how winning is done.
Yeah. The purpose of this is to help each one of you become leaders of your own lives, where you can recognize areas where you are falling short, where you feel like you aren't experiencing the results that you want. And determination is one thing that we've both experienced as something that can make a huge impact. One of the questions that people will frequently have is, what's the difference between being determined and being committed? How would you respond to that?
I love that. If you're a kind of a default human, you're going to look at a definition of what commitment is. And if you Google commitment, it's interesting. You should absolutely Google it. It's gonna tell you that commitment is a noun. It's gonna say that it's a state or quality of being. It's being dedicated to something is commitment. That couldn't be further from the truth. Just no way.
Just like love is a noun. Love is not a noun. Love is action.
That's right.
And commitment is also a verb. It is action.
Yeah. If you're committed, it means you're doing something. You're creating, you're taking action, you're moving towards something. And in my opinion, that should be massive action. Don't just half do it. Don't just dip your toe in the water. Just jump in. But yeah, if you're committed, that's what you're all in, and it's action. So, but yeah, the difference between commitment and determination. Determination is that Moxie, it's that fire in your belly. It's that feeling that you have inside you that's just deep in there, just burning like a fire. Mm-hmm. It's literally, in my opinion, the substance that allows you the power to stay committed. That's worth repeating. Determination is the substance that allows you the power to stay committed. Determination is something you can possess. It's the vehicle through which you can demonstrate that you're committed. It's that umph. It's that moxie. It's that way of thinking that results in unflinching action. It is an absolute resoluteness or firmness of purpose.
Love that. That word that you use, that determination, is the substance that allows you the power to stay committed. I think of that as a fuel. It's a fuel source that is what is called on to help you when things get tough, because we all are committed to certain things, And if you've listened to our previous podcast, you know that that's something that we talk about every single podcast is what are you committed to? Because if you're not clear on what you're committed to, then what we're talking about today will have very little relevance and won't make a difference and impact. So if you haven't listened to our podcast on commitment, listen to that and get really clear on what you are committed to. Now, this determination is being the substance that allows you the power to stay committed. It's the fuel, and it's a fuel source that self-generates and that keeps on giving. One of the challenges that people have in life is they'll get burned out. And I was listening to an audiobook the other day by Grant Cardone, Be Obsessed or Be Average.
Love it.
And he talks about how people are always worried about him being burnt out, and the guy just goes and goes and goes. And he's like, what do you think I am, a candle? Like, you really think that my candle's going to burn down and burn out? As I thought about that, I went to a different object lesson in my own life, and that is to a living tree or a living bush. If your wood is dead, you will burn out. And if your tree is living, then you'll be able to resist that. And the fuel inside, that sap inside, is that determination. And without determination, you will dry up, and you will then get burnt out by the fires that happen all around us.
Yeah. Determination seems intangible. It seems like that just, thing, that thinking, that paradigm that you can possess that's just solid, right? But it's not. It's not that. Look at those people that are determined that and you can almost feel it in the air when they're pushing through something that's difficult. I know it's intangible, but it's not. It's there. It's real, and it's something you can feel from somebody else who's demonstrating it in the moment. It's inspiring. The Olympic athlete that trips and falls, in some sort of sprint or something, and picks himself up and comes back and wins. Like, that's not because he's the world's best runner. He's just a really good runner that's probably at the moment the world's best determined runner.
Yeah.
And you can feel it, and it raises the hair on your arms. You're energized. You're excited. That feeling is determination that is now contagiously infecting you.
Yep.
That's how powerful determination is. It can take the most impossible circumstances and make them seem like that's just my normal. That might be impossible to do. That's my normal today, and tomorrow I'm going to do more.
Yep.
That's determination.
You remind me of a story that Angela Duckworth shares in her book, Grit.
Grit.
Yeah, what a great book.
I love it.
So she talks about the Seattle Seahawks, and it pains me to talk about this because I'm a Cardinals fan, and the Seahawks and the Cardinals have a great little rivalry. So shout out to all you Seahawks fans that might be listening to this. But she talks about Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll uses a phrase called "always compete," and that idea of always competing, no matter what the circumstances are, allows his team to finish strong. And it allows his team to be their very best. And the results speak for themselves. The Seahawks have a track record of being excellent, of being an amazing football team. And that goes down to that determination that comes from Pete Carroll's leadership of instilling in his team this idea of always competing.
Yeah, I agree. So if we're going to understand, I think it goes without saying that, even the average lay guy out there, is going to say, yeah, I know determination's important. I need this in my life. I know it. I feel it. And then it stops, right? They might get all pumped up. You guys might get pumped up just by listening to this podcast, but what are you going to do tomorrow about it? What are you going to do today about it? And so I think a healthy, bold, straightforward discussion as to how you can legitimately develop determination, how you can build and strengthen determination in your commitments is probably some of the most valuable, minutes on the air here that we can spend with you. And I would love to do that. What do you say, Eric?
Yeah.
Jump into that?
Great idea.
Let's do that. All right. So it starts with commitment. We're going to elaborate a little bit on commitment. Your absolute resoluteness, or your purpose there, your firmness of purpose that we're going to call determination. Your your determination in the moment is literally attached to and tied to, like, it's just always going to be connected to your commitments. So he mentioned it before, Eric, and we do probably every podcast, and that is you got to be clear on what you're committed to. And by commitment, let's just recatch some of you up on that. By commitment, it's what are you all in on? What are you so willing to do that there are no other options in your mind?
Yeah.
There is no retreating. There's no giving up. There's no doing this easier route. It's I'm committed because this is it. This is my last stand. We're at the Alamo, whatever it is. We're all in, and you're just fully 100% committed. So think about the actual true meaning of commitment is you're committing something to something else or to someone or some purpose, right? If it's dollars, you might be committing, $1,000 check today to this particular charity. You're committing a portion of your funds to this, right? You're like assigning a part of you to a part of something else. I would suggest that in the term that when we use commitment, we're saying give all of yourself to that thing in that moment. And it's okay to have multiple commitments, and it's okay for your commitments to change over time. But when you're in the moment serving one of your commitments, you better be all in. You don't accidentally win the Super Bowl. I don't even do football, guys, but you don't accidentally win the Super Bowl. You're all in on that. And that way you overcome obstacles, you overcome resistance, you overcome mistakes because you're all in, and you just keep going because your commitment is you're not going to give just part of yourself to this. You're going to give all of yourself to this. So think of commitment as just being all in, and there are no other options on the table. This is your last stand. How does that work with determination? That's a really good question. Determination, like Eric was talking about with trees and forests, it's the fuel for your commitments. But look, what if you're not authentic with your commitment? What if you say you're committed to fill in the blank, your job, but you hate your job? What if you say you're committed to, loving your spouse and you can't stand your spouse?
Yeah. You've set yourself up for failure. You've set yourself up to break those commitments. You don't have that energy source inside of you to keep that commitment alive. You will wither when you're inauthentic. And when those fires come, when those challenges come, you will burn up, you will burn out, and your commitments will go away, unfulfilled.
Yeah, so check yourself and make sure that your commitments are something that is authentic, that aligns with you. When you're going to give all of yourself to something, there's nothing left over for you to give, right, to any other option. Yeah. So there's one option. You pick one option and you go with it, and you're committed to that. So does that sound like nails on a chalkboard? This particular endeavor, this particular sport, this particular job, this particular relationship. If that's nails on a chalkboard, then you're probably out of alignment.
Yeah. You're probably being inauthentic about what you're saying you're committed to.
That's right.
Because when you are truly committed to something and you have that determination as the fuel source, like there is nothing that you're not willing to do. Like you have the enthusiasm to set your alarm. I remember when we were training for Ironman. Like I'd set my alarm for 3 a.m. and would go on a 3-hour run before work. I look back now that I'm not committed to doing Ironman, now that I don't have that determination, I'm like, how in the world did I do that? Like, how did I set my alarm at 3 o'clock in the morning, go run for 3 hours, go work, be a dad, do all the things that I did? How did I do it? I did it because I was committed. I was committed to it, and I was determined. And that became its own fuel source. That became its own energy source that kept me going, that prevented burnout, that prevented some lackluster effort.
Yeah, I totally agree. And by the way, sometimes we're wrong when we commit to something. Sometimes we really feel like we're being authentic, and we really feel like we're, picking the right thing, I guess, to give all of ourselves to. But I suggest sometimes we're wrong. And it's okay to change. It's okay to check yourself. It's okay to realign your life, your values, your purpose with things that feel authentic. And commitments change often. Like you're no longer committed to Ironman right now, Eric. That's good. I mean, okay, right? And I'm going to work on changing that, by the way. Ironman Santa Rosa next year.
I'm about ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but look, one of my favorite, kind of mentors, so to speak, that I've been really listening to and studying lately is this Grant Cardone guy, man. He is a character. He is full of energy and passion, and he's enthusiastic. I love what he wrote recently in one of his books, Be Obsessed, Be Average, and about committing potentially to the wrong thing. He says, and I quote, "I would rather commit to the wrong thing all the way than commit to the right thing halfway."
Repeat that. That is a powerful statement.
I would rather commit to the wrong thing all the way than commit to the right thing halfway. So in a results-oriented world that we live in, living a life of commitment, being all in, essentially is better than living half committed to whatever you're committed to. So, and I agree with that. I would much rather be all in on something that is possibly the wrong choice than being half in on something that's the right choice. And I truly live that way. I'm all in. If I'm going to do something, man, I'm all in.
Yeah.
There's no reason to only half do something, a quarter do something, 90% something. No way. Don't be content with the 90%. Give yourself that last little bit. Go all in.
And the results of that are obvious. Like, we don't need to belabor the fact that, I mean, you take in an athletic example, if you're playing basketball and you're not really committed to driving to the hoop and you're going halfway to the basket, you know what's going to happen. If you're on the football field and you're not really committed to making the tackle and you're just kind of going halfway towards the guy with the ball, like, you know what's going to happen. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get injured. The same is in business world. And Grant uses an example with being with a client. If you're with a client and you're not really committed to that client, then he's going to have a halfway experience with you, and you're not going to serve him, and you're not going to get the rewards of having him or her as a client. Like, it's just, when you go halfway on anything, the results speak for themselves.
Yeah. So again, talent's far outweighed by commitment and determination. Absolutely. I mean, you don't have to be the most talented employee, the most talented entrepreneur, the most talented CEO out there. You just have to be the most committed one and the most determined one, and you can get the results. Like, just commit. And again, we're going to talk about determination. Determination is developed because we know what we're committed to, because we are in alignment with our commitments. And we're going to jump into this in just a second, but just worth repeating the whole principle here on commitment. Live a life committed. Again, even if you're committed 100% to the wrong thing, it's better than committing, something less than 100% to the right thing. Yeah. You can live a life full of absolute, happiness and excitement and enthusiasm if you live committed to whatever it is you're trying to do.
Because you'll see the results of it, and you'll say, hey, wait a minute, I'm 100% in. I know I'm all in. This isn't the result I want, and then you'll make the shift. If you're halfway committed, like, you'll never really know if what you're committed to is the right thing, because you're not going to get the powerful result anyway. That's
right. That's absolutely right. So, determination. If you look up the dictionary term for determination, it's interesting. It says, let me read it to you. Determination, a firmness of purpose, a resoluteness. Like, I like that, but I think there's more to it, okay? I absolutely think there is more to it. I think it's that fire in your belly. It's that moxie. It's that umph in your thinking that results in unflinching action. Determination results in unflinching action. Like, it's something you can possess. It's something you can literally feel from someone else when they're demonstrating it. Determination is real, folks, and you need it, and you need to develop it. But let's break down that firmness of purpose part of the definition. I love it. And by the way, I'll post these definitions on our blog so that you can go back and read some of this so that it can be fresh with you. And you should check out our blog, effectepic.com, /blog. So check it out. Anyways, determination, that's something that you possess. Let's break down that firmness of purpose. To have a seed bed, so to speak, or the fertile ground necessary to develop your determination, because that's what we want you to do. I mean, I think it's easy to sell you on the fact that you need determination, and determination is amazing. But if you feel like you just can't, and things are tough, and when it gets hard, your default mode is to find some other route or to find some excuse and justification as to why not to keep going, then this is for you. So how do you develop it? So you have to know what your purpose is. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying what's the purpose of life. Like, you don't have to go that deep, but what is your purpose? It's going to be tied. This is how determination is tied to your commitments. And we'll give an example. Let's just say a marital example is really common for people, but it can apply to every business perspective, every business situation, circumstance. It can apply to every athletic or sport endeavor. It can apply to everything, but let's just use a marital example. What's your purpose in that marriage? It's going to be similar. It's going to have similar language, I'm guessing, to what you're committed to. But do you feel a purpose there to serve and to love your spouse no matter what?
To become one.
Yeah, what is your purpose? Knowing what your purpose is allows you that opportunity to develop determination. You can't be determined without a purpose. Determination is based in a purpose. Joan of Arc. Love Joan of Arc.
Mm-hmm.
1400 something, I think. England at the time had overtaken over half of the country, all of northern France. Everyone had given up. There was a new king, but he was too chicken to go get crowned because it was just basically a death sentence. And so here comes Joan of Arc on the scene, claiming that she was inspired by heavenly angels and visitors, which I personally have no doubt that happened. And so what does she do? Out of her purpose to save France and to get this king crowned, she developed an absolute resoluteness and firmness of purpose around this mission, so to speak, of hers, her purpose to save France and to get this king crowned. So much so that as a 16 and 17-year-old girl, she basically conquered and wiped out, all opposing forces in like a year and a half and got the king crowned. A teenage girl.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. So understanding your purpose is the only way that you can even begin to grasp what determination feels like. Because when you know your purpose, you would no sooner step aside from that. Like in her case, you would rather burn at the stake than deny what you know.
Yeah. Beautiful. Another example, as we looked up different definitions, a word that's simultaneously used with determination and commitment is the word passion. And it's interesting that the top definition for passion refers to the life of Jesus Christ and his last days. And when you think about somebody who was really clear on their purpose and how that purpose drove that determination, there was no rejection, there was no pain, there was no challenge, there was no suffering, there was no treason, there was nothing that caused him to waver from what he was committed to. That determination, because he was true to his purpose for coming to this earth, that determination fueled every choice that he made. When, without that, he would have quit, he would have given up, he would have given in.
Yeah. You show me a person that just absolutely lacks determination, I'll show you a person that lacks purpose. You show me a person that gives up and quits on himself and on a team and on his coworkers and on his family, I'll show you a person that doesn't know what his purpose is or is intentionally denying his purpose out of whatever reason, selfishness or whatnot. But if you're in alignment with your purpose and you know what your purpose is and you're clear with it, then therein lies and therein is born your determination. And determination is a muscle, folks. You got to use it. The more you use it, the more confidence you gain in your own determination, and it grows exponentially. And it grows and it grows and it grows. Know your purpose. Get in touch with your determination. Is that in alignment with your commitments? Obviously they should be, and they mostly will. If you're really authentic with yourself, you're honest, get real. If it means looking in the mirror and asking yourself some tough questions, then look in the mirror. Ask yourself the tough questions. Give me a call. Give Eric a call. Shoot us an email. We'll talk to you about it. Well, I'm happy to discuss this. And don't expect a friend. I'll be friendly, but don't expect a friend. My job is to help break this down, right? Yeah. So what is your purpose? And then you can develop that determination, that firmness of purpose, that absolute resoluteness. They say resoluteness in the dictionary. They're missing it. It's absolute resoluteness.
Love it. So with this being so powerful, with this being such a difference maker, why is it such a struggle in the world? Why is it that we see so many people that struggle with determination, that struggle with knowing their purpose, that struggle with commitment? What's the reward for them of not being committed, of not having determination, of not having of that purpose? That's something we got to consider, because everybody does what they like, and there's some reward to them that they're getting for not being that. And perhaps it's just covering up pain and fear of not being what they knew they could be, or not doing what they knew they could do, to keep them in a cocoon, if you will, a protected cocoon.
It's because it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easier not to be determined. It's easier to ignore your purpose. It's easier to numb yourself out with drugs, alcohol, mindless TV, mindless cell phone time and games,
social media.
It's easier to deal with that unsatisfying, gut-wrenching, I suck feeling than it is to get out there and do something worthwhile. And you know what? That's what people think, but they're wrong. It's easier to be determined.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's easier to go do hard things. It's easier to put aside all the stupid stuff, like lay off the McDonald's, lay off drugs and alcohol. Don't numb yourself out with stupid TV shows. Be someone in this world. Accomplish something. Know your purpose and feel the absolute incredible power and joy of knowing that you are happening to the world and the world is not happening to you.
That's one of the great ironies of this is, people that don't commit, that aren't determined, like, oh, I could never do that. I could never do that. And the irony is that mediocrity is so excruciatingly draining. Like it zaps your life. It zaps your energy. It zaps your passion. It zaps happiness. Like, that's the great irony, is choosing to be mediocre is choosing a life of unhappiness. And think about when you're bored, how slow time passes by. Every minute feels like days. But when you do your best, when you're committed, when you're determined, the time flies by. The hours fly by, the days fly by, the weeks fly by. It's like you can't slow time down, because it's just self-energizing when you're totally committed. And that the joy that comes, the satisfaction that comes, the happiness that comes, the increased commitment, the increased determination, it all feeds itself. And the inspiration that comes, it's all part of this process of knowing what you're committed to and being determined. And when we don't know, and when we aren't committed, when we aren't determined, then the great irony is we lose all that. We lose all that power and energy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but I mean, how many people do you know that are completely unhappy? They're miserable. They hate their job. They hate their relationship. They're a victim. No matter what happens, they're a victim, right? That's how they see the world. They're a victim. They're a victim. Woe is to me. Oh man, this sucks. My job sucks. My life sucks. I don't like, XYZ. I don't like having to be, I didn't sign up for this. You'll hear that kind of language. This is not what I wanted. And I'm like, well, then I would look at that person in the eye and say, well, then what are you doing about it? What are you doing?
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. So, let's do weight loss. Classic example. Americans, we're obese. Like, we suck. You look at the rest of the world, we are probably the worst country on the planet. And I love our country. Don't get me wrong. Go America, right? I got American flags everywhere. But look, we suck when it comes to nutrition and to fitness. And yet, what do we have? Like, probably more health clubs and more nutritional professionals, or so they hold themselves out to be. And websites, all here based in America, all, saying this is how you can be fit and lean. And, here's our gym, here's my gym, come do this. And we all say we're committed to this. I think those people are authentically committing to losing weight and to being in shape. I think they're authentic and sincere in saying that they want to lose the weight and that they want to commit to that. But I argue that most of them are not committed and or are lacking the determination to see it through. So when it gets hard, they give up. Now, think about this in light of our context of what we talked about when we say they're lacking the determination. They're not knowing or understanding their purpose. Mm-hmm. They don't know in that moment what their purpose is, or they would never walk away from it, or they would never drive through McDonald's. I can't believe McDonald's is still even in existence. Who on earth would voluntarily eat that crap? I've got McDonald's that's 4 months old. I'm doing an experiment in my office. It's right behind your head, Eric. I got McDonald's right here in my office. It's 4 months old.
Looks like the day you bought it, dude.
Yeah, it looks exactly like the day I brought it. Those French fries look fresh.
They look good.
Not a single ounce of mold. The hamburger with cheese and everything, nothing, no mold. No, I mean, that is nasty. But look, people voluntarily do that. What's your purpose? If your purpose is you want to live an obese, unhealthy, unenergetic life where you die early, you take a whole bunch of pain meds. As your kids get older, you can't sooner go on a field trip with them without having a freaking wheelchair that's electric, something like that. If you feel like that's your purpose, well, good for you. You're in alignment. You've got that nailed. If that's not your purpose, if you want to be a fulfilling parent, involved with your kids' lives, having the energy to do what you need to do to take them where you want to be, then if you believed that, if you believed in yourself and believed in that purpose and it was in alignment, then your commitment would be fused. It would be fueled and just married to and just infused with determination. At which point you wouldn't even want to go to McDonald's. Yeah. So that was just a fitness health example. Yeah. Imagine the relationships, the work, the everything else.
And some people that are struggling with that might just be really inauthentic in their commitments. Like you might say that you want to have this body that looks like this or that, but the reality is that you're more committed to eating ice cream than you are to having a body like that. That's a cold hard truth. Try telling a woman that who says that they want to lose weight and you're like, well, it looks like you're committed to the donuts more. Yeah, you're more committed to donuts and ice cream.
That's tough, but on a deep level, that's true.
Yeah, if we're going to be really clear, if we're going to be really true to ourselves, we're going to be authentic, then we'll see that we have these quote unquote competing commitments where I'm really committed to eating good food and the feeling that I feel when I eat that ice cream.
Yeah, it makes me feel better. Yeah. Like I'm not as depressed. I'm not as
more
sad.
committed
This
to that
is my
than
outlet.
I am to the body
That's right.
that I say I want.
Essentially, they are more committed to
and
that.
Unless you get really clear with that and you can really say, well, okay, now am I really more committed to ice cream than I am to my health? And you can really dig down and then state, no, you know what? This is what I'm committed to, and get really clear with that. Then you can overcome some of those potentially competing commitments.
But again, once you get the determination nailed down, so you can first clarify that commitment, make sure that it's authentic and that you're in alignment with it, and then ask yourself a purpose question. What's my resoluteness, like my absolute resoluteness? What's my firmness of purpose around this? Why do I want to be healthy? What purpose for me? Like purpose, not goal, not desire.
Goals will come and go.
Yeah, this is purpose. This is like a life meaning purpose.
We're not talking about looking good for your 20-year high school reunion.
Yeah, no way.
We're talking about a state of health and wellness that you want to have because you need this state of health and wellness for what you are on this earth to do, whether that's your business and your travels, your parenting, and the relationship you want with the kids that you have and what you want to be able to do with them, etc. This is a lasting purpose, not some short term, hey, we're going on a cruise in a few weeks and I need to lose some weight because I'm putting my bathing suit on, I need to look good. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about little short term goals like that. We're talking about lasting, deep purposes.
So I'll give a personal example. Forgive me, I think most people know this about me. I love to ride my bike, and I like to ride it in extreme circumstances and really far distances. So for those of you that are out there that are even kind of athletic, you'll appreciate the story. A couple years ago, 2 years ago, I signed up for a bike race, right? Race across the West. It was 930.4 miles. Nonstop race. It was from Oceanside, California to Durango, Colorado. And I had an incredible crew, incredible support, incredible family. Essentially, we're doing a family vacation right outside of Durango, Colorado. And so I told my wife, I was like, I got an idea. I'll just ride my bike in this race to the family vacation.
So crazy.
And I don't know why, but she signed off, mostly because she supports me in all my eccentricities. I love it. So in any event, there was an incredible amount of people that signed up for this event. I was the most overweight and undertrained cyclist there. And that's just because I wasn't really clear in my preparation, frankly, to be better prepared. But that notwithstanding, that's, again, talent, skill is always outweighed by determination and commitment. So I was committed to this race. I was committed to finishing this at whatever cost. And I get that some people might say that that's crazy. That's crazy. What do you mean, whatever cost? Well, I mean whatever cost. It's either an ambulance ride home for me or the finish line. One of the two. And people, I mean, there's probably haters right now listening to this going, there's no way. There's no way he really felt that way, and or that's stupid. That's not for me. Well, then that's a person that's not committed or determined.
Or at least not committed to what you're committed to.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm not saying that people have to commit to this bike race,
Right,
but the principle of commitment is demonstrated in this story.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And if for a committed person, they would never say that's crazy. Mm-hmm. They would say, that's awesome. I get that. I did that with this fishing trip or whatever, right? Whatever they're committed to. So, yeah. So here we start this race. 86 hours later, I finish, essentially. But in the middle of that time frame, I lost the ability to use my neck. I couldn't hold my head up of my own accord. It's a condition called Schirmer's neck. You can Google it. It's terrible. It only happens to cyclists that go for hundreds of miles without stopping. So, like, there's very few people on the planet that get it. And I was one of the unlucky ones that got it. Had to tie my head up, propping it up with a bedroll, basically a blanket, out of the truck. About 400 something miles in, I still had another 500 something miles to go. So I did that. Propped my head up, tied it to my helmet with gauze, and kept going. I mean, it didn't end there. I was passing out. I coughed up blood. Like, there was all kinds of reasons medically to call this race. There was lots of other people. I can't remember how many started, but there was somewhere around, I think, 50 or so people that were doing this race. 9 of us finished. And I finished. I got it. I got it done. And it's because I knew what I was committed to clearly, but I also knew what my purpose was. My determination was at such a high level that there was nothing that could stop that. I was told and even hinted by my own crew to stop. Yeah. That this condition with my neck could be permanent. You could never gain this back. We don't know the results of this. This is terrible. You're literally coughing up blood. At one point, I couldn't breathe. My lungs started to close in, and my thoracic area of my throat seized on me, and I couldn't breathe, and I passed out. I had some sort of reaction to something out there, and that happened twice, actually. It's terrible. There's all kinds of reasons that this was not a good idea. And everyone else, by the way, that quit for a whole lot less reasons than what I was enduring out there. And it's because it didn't even make sense for me to quit. This is what sounds crazy, but I'm very, very much so sincere when I say this, is it never really crossed my mind to quit. I did think about how much more do I have to endure before I see the finish line? Like, what's going to happen to me next? Oh, for sure. I mean, I endured so many crazy, stupid, painful things. And to this day, 2 years later, I'm still struggling with my neck. Of course I paid a price for that. I have zero regrets. I'd pay it again. But that determination is that's the principle here. That determination was of course founded on a purpose. That's where determination is born, is understanding your purpose and being so absolutely resolute about that you can't get sidetracked. So my commitments were clear, and they were in alignment with me, and my determination was founded in a purpose. So it didn't matter what obstacles. I mean, it just didn't. And that's how everything is for me in my life. Yeah. I try to demonstrate that. When you feel that you have a life of determination and commitment, challenges don't present themselves as these negative monsters that suck the life force out of you. They literally present themselves as an opportunity to demonstrate commitment and determination. Problems present. I mean, that's such a cool way to live. It's so liberating to go, yeah, this sucks. It's a problem. No question. This is a challenge, and it sucks, and I wish I didn't have the challenge. However, this is a great opportunity for me to demonstrate resoluteness, determination, commitment, purpose. Even with this stupid clavicle that I broke, right? Like, I was told on a number of occasions I'm not allowed to ride my bike. I might not be able to. Right now, literally right now, I don't know if I even need a second surgery with a bone graft from my hip, because my bones aren't growing back. It's shattered into 6 pieces, and they're telling me that I might have to do a whole second procedure with a bone graft. and I wouldn't be able to race in France this year. I have a 1,600-mile race in France this year, and I might not be able to do that. And I'm like, I look at the doctor, like, I get that. Is riding my bike right now causing further damage? Can you tell me that it's causing further damage? No. Then why aren't the bones growing back? Well, it's just a high energy impact, sir. And so, from that, like, bones, they just don't grow. It's tough. We need to do all these supplements and this electric stimulator, and I'm shocking myself, with this thing, whatever. What about the pain? He asks. Yeah, it hurts. Is it a sharp pain or a dull pain? It's a dull pain. It's sharp when I do certain movements because all those little jagged pieces, even though they're held by plates and screws, that doesn't mean that the tissue around them doesn't appreciate that sharpness, right? So as long as you don't feel sharp pain when you're riding, you're good. Okay. So for the last, 5-6 weeks, I've been strapping myself onto my bike in my garage, tying myself with a rope to the ceiling. I think I've told you this before, right? And so it's because I'm determined. I know what my purpose is, and I have a commitment that's really clear to me, i.e. race across France. So a clavicle break, a challenge that this presents in the terms of lost fitness and potentially not racing and all that stuff, that's just an opportunity. It's an opportunity to demonstrate that it doesn't matter what happens in life. I'm happening to the world's not happening to me. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I feel like no matter what happens, I'm racing in France because I can do that, and I can tolerate pain, and I can put up with it, right? I mean, for crying out loud, I got a plate and screws in there. It's not like the bones are going anywhere. If it's just a pain thing, then I'm in. I'm all in.
Love it. I'd like to address something that probably prevents a lot of people from demonstrating the level of commitment that Ben's just described. And it's a slight distinction. And it's the distinction between perfectionism and excellence. It's the distinction between being the best in the world and being your best. And it's all rooted in fear. And if we give in to this fear, we'll prevent ourselves from even trying things that we could really be committed to. But because we fear of, I wouldn't look good, or I wouldn't be the best, or I wouldn't have the ability to be professional level at any kind of thing, then we don't even do it at all. So Ben mentioned that he was the fattest, most out of shape cyclist there, right?
Yeah, true story.
But he was one of 9 that finished. There was some incredible athletes that were much more trained than him, more athletic, etc., that didn't finish because they didn't have this level of commitment and determination that Ben has described. The other day, I heard a quote that kind of rocked my world because growing up, my Uncle Dan, I worked with him, love him, one of my heroes. One of the things that he would always say when we were working, me and my cousins together, is a job worth doing is a job worth doing right. Now, mind you, we were doing awful jobs like chopping weeds and digging trenches. Okay, and so if you're going to dig a trench, you dig that trench straight and you dig it exactly as deep as it needs to be. And if you're chopping weeds, you chop every weed and you leave no weed left behind, right? So a job worth doing is a job worth doing right. He just preached that, ingrained in me. And so I say that all the time to my kids. Hey, we're doing chores, we're doing yard work, we're doing whatever we're doing. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And my kids mock me for it. So I'm at a baccalaureate for graduation, and our salutatorian is giving a talk, and she says a quote. She says, a job worth doing is a job worth doing badly. I'm like, what the?
Wait a second. Wait, that's not what my uncle said.
Yeah. Like rock my, I'm like, whoa. Who said that? And what do they mean by that? And so it just really sunk into me. And it's so true. If a job is worth doing, it's worth doing badly, because this desire to be perfect prevents people from doing things like getting on a bike and riding a bike. It prevents people from doing things like signing up for a triathlon because, I don't have a triathlete's body. I could never do something like that. It prevents people from really fulfilling things that they're committed to. So when you're determining what you're committed to, you're determining what your purpose is. Don't think that you have to be perfect. Don't think that you have to be professional level. Don't think that you have to be the best in the world. You just have to be your very best. You just have to do your very best. Do things that you might not be good at. But because you're committed, you'll just do it, and you'll be happy. You'll get the joy. You'll get the satisfaction that comes from that. And otherwise, you're just going to be limited in that state of mediocrity, doing things that you don't really enjoy.
Oh yeah, I would hire commitment and determination over talent any day.
Yep,
any day. You know, those of you looking for a new job, for example, you know, give me a call. I might have something for you. You're committed and determined. But seriously, you're out there and you're wanting to grow your business more because you're a business owner, or you're wanting to climb the corporate ladder because you're not satisfied with where you're at and you feel like you have more potential. You know, but you might be afraid because, like Eric said, that you don't feel like you're comparing yourself to somebody else. You don't feel like you measure up, and you don't necessarily think that you're the best yet and that you need more time. Dude, that's stupid.
Yep.
Just go get it. Just, if you're committed and you're determined, don't stop until you get it. And then when you get it, what's next? Ask yourself what's next. Never be content with
it.
that.
Will fuel itself.
Yeah.
This will change your life. Like, you'll be fueled to do the things that you're truly committed to. You'll fulfill your purpose. You'll never have that midlife crisis where you're wondering what your purpose is in life and like, why am I really here? What am I doing? What am I about? Because these fulfilled commitments will fuel themselves and will just push you to new limits and new possibilities that you never knew existed.
I love it. Let's close it out. I think just determination by itself isn't enough. Commitment by itself isn't enough. You need both. You need to be clear in your commitments. You need to then apply that firmness of purpose, right? That determination to them. And that is how winning is done. You know, that's you just take massive action, and that's how life stops happening to you and you start happening to life.
Yeah. You become a leader of your life. And that's what this is all about, is exercising, demonstrating leadership of your life, creating that future with those epic results.
I love it. Guys, if you ever have questions about any of this stuff, I mean, you can tell we just love talking about it. Email us, message us, effectepic.com. You can get all of our contact information there. Happy to chat with you. Happy to explore this. If you feel like you're running into a wall with some of these principles and they're not making sense, or you're not digging deep enough and you need a little help, give us a call, man. This is what we're here for.
All right. Have a great week.
Awesome. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Principles of No Regrets podcast, your path to epic performance and life with no regrets.